Okay, I'm back, part two, where I talk about my mom. All right, so last video I spoke on her childhood, my childhood, and how I have now moved to New Jersey and I was going to start a career as an actress slash waitress. Whew. So again, my mom was amazing. I loved her. She was my God. Like, I'll be honest, like, and I think that's why everything kind of seeps into everything I do. That when you have made a human being your higher power, your ultimate, your path, it really adjusts how you see things. And now that I've shifted, and just aimed things a little higher, where my belief system is, with God, that, and now I see how much I thought I was God, or I thought my mom was God, or I thought humans were God, that that tainted every way I viewed things and how I did things. And if my mom was around, like, I would have loved to have really introduced her, like, to God. I think, she had God as a concept, and, she prayed in her AA and her NA meetings, but, like, it was a concept. And, she was so lost, even towards the end of her life, that, you know, I think it would have been a fun journey for us to be on together. All right, so I'm in New Jersey. She ends up moving to New Jersey too. So she gets this great little place where, it's, I forget where it was. It was like on the Heights, Jersey Heights. Is that a place? I can't remember. But it was like there's Hoboken down low and there's Jersey up high, this little Jersey City portion. And I remember she had like a really small like view of New York. Like she had windows, but like if you like stood on one foot and did this, she had a view of New York, and we were like, wow, amazing. And so I do remember like she really enjoyed it, and it was recycling. She used to live in Hoboken. She used to like go around New York. That was like her stomping ground. So now I'm there, she's there. We're having a time. It was great. We did holidays together, and I helped her decorate. We'd go to IKEA. That was like our fun thing to do. We'd go to IKEA and eat Swedish meatballs, and it was wonderful. She got a job. She met somebody. So she actually was dating a woman when she died, and she had a great little place. She was proud of me, and I was proud of her. And I think Al missed her a lot. I think it was hard for him because, they still were just such close friends. But things, began to cycle. She was dating she was dating this woman, and this woman, knew nothing of alcohol abuse or drug abuse. And my mom decided, oh, I can drink. No big deal. I don't think she had drank, throughout her whole, you know, life, really. She, claimed herself an alcoholic and never really relapsed on alcohol. She would just relapse on drugs. So she was like, yeah, I could be a social drinker, sure. And so I remember going to Mexican food one time with her, and we were getting something out of the trunk for her. It was a jacket or something, I don't even know. And I saw an empty bottle of brandy. It was like a sweet brandy. Later I found out that alcoholics like would drink this specific type because it doesn't really smell like alcohol when you're breathing on people. So I mean, that's not a social drinker. But I remember I saw the bottle and I didn't say anything. And I was in my 20s and I, thought, oh, she could maybe be a social drinker. I knew that was not true and I knew it. And I was having a margarita and she was like, oh, yeah, have a margarita. It's no problem. And I was like, oh, started to recognize that this was not going, like, she was up to her old patterns. But she got into NA, and ooh, this is where it's like, I love support, but I also know that that's where she found drugs. Like, she didn't have any connections. How on earth did she have connections to find drugs in New Jersey? Except for going to NA, you meet all the drug addicts in the area, and some of them are on the wagon, some of them are off the wagon. And I think her trying to do a good thing, trying to get into a group, trying to get in back into NA, Narcotics Anonymous, it was maybe the worst thing for her, because I think that's where she found drugs again. And being out of her environment of Texas, I thought like, oh, this is going to be great. Well, she was going to move in with her girlfriend. And we were excited. I was still a little like, but before she did, she had some like tooth issues. Like, she always probably had malnutrition. I mean, I think she was always fighting, depression, which was probably stemmed from the gut, because I know I had a lot of gut issues. She had endometriosis. I had endometriosis. A lot of things. So she had bad teeth, really bad teeth. And I remember she went to the doctor to get her teeth worked on. And they gave her Percocets or, something. And that was the start of it. So I remember I was working in Hoboken in like this factory, which was fascinating because it was an old factory, a blinds factory. My mom actually worked in that when she was like in her 20s, and now I was working at it, and it was like this art center. It was really cool, and I was teaching dance in this art center. And there was one day she was supposed to come pick me up, and I waited. She had a car. I didn't have a car because it's New Jersey. You don't need a car. And she didn't come. And so, like, I knew where she, lived up on the hill, and I was down there. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to walk. I'm going to walk. I mean, I didn't have money for taxis, or I don't think their Uber existed. And so I walked up the hill, and I walked up and I had a key. And I walked in. This was the first time I had ever seen her high in my whole life. She was so gone. Like, she was gone. Like, I'm like movie worthy high. I call Al. I'm like, what do I do? I don't know what to do. And then I called Eric, my boyfriend, who had lost his father. You hear the story, it's a whole to-do. My mom was a witness at our wedding, if that'll tell you anything. My mom loved Eric, loved him. That was one of the reasons it was hard for me to break up with him. I called Eric, and he came. I don't know why he had a car. I guess his mom had a car. He came and picked me up, and I remember just being in the car with him. Maybe we were in my mom's car, I don't know. I just remember being in the car with him. And that was my first morning. So I talk a lot about how I mourned twice for my mother. I knew it was over at that moment when I saw her, and I knew it was done. She was done. It was over. For her to be nearing 50 or 50, for her to still want to be in that spot, I just couldn't comprehend it. I couldn't understand addiction. And of course, she always said, if you can't understand it, it's a good thing, because that means you're not addicted. That means you don't have this. And, I get so mad that she'd call it a disease. I'm like, it's not a disease. I get so mad. She's like, oh, if I had cancer, you couldn't be mad at me. And I'm like, exactly. Like, it's just, I had such anger, such hurt, such resentment, such bitterness. And I couldn't understand at 50 years old why she needed to get high. And so we talked, we got through it, and, you know, we blamed the doctors. Oh, they shouldn't have given her the drugs. You know, we told the doctor she was an addict, blah, blah, blah. But that's not how doctors work, as we all know. So time's coming up, and she is having to move. She's moving in. We're getting excited, moving her stuff slowly and slowly. And, you know, I'm going, you know, to help her. I think it was like Friday. So I think the move-in day was a Friday. And that week, I went out with my friends. We went to Point Pleasant, which is also ironic because eventually I moved down to the shore. But we decided to go to the beach that day. And it was like in July. And we went to the beach, and I remember peaches were fresh. And I had gotten this like white peach. And I don't know if you know Jersey, like peaches and pears. It's like you're eating candy. It's like, you know, jelly bean sweet. And so I am sitting on this beach. It was a beautiful day. Everybody else is in the water, and I'm eating my peach, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And my mom calls, and I'm like, hey, mom, I'm on the beach. And she's like, that's amazing. I'm like, what you doing? You getting ready for the move? And she's like, well, you know, there's actually, you know, I am at the hospital right now doing some routine tests. And I'm like, really? Oh, okay. And I'm like, are you okay? I mean, are you sure you're all right? And she's like, yeah, no, don't worry. I'm just glad that you're having a great day and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, so we're still good on for Friday? She's like, yep, I'll see you then. And we hung up the phone. Something didn't sit right with me. And called her right back. And I said, Mom, are you sure you're okay? She said, yeah, honey, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm like, do you want me to come to the hospital? She's like, no, don't bother doing that. It sounds like you're having a great time. Have a great time. And that was the last time I talked to my mother. And every day I am thankful I called her back to just say that last I love you. Because I know there was nothing left unsaid. I know she loved me, and I loved her, and she knew it. So that was the last time I talked to her. The next day I went to work not knowing that she was in that hospital because she had overdosed. They brought her back to life. And the next day, she went back out and she overdosed again. This was during the time that they were having a lot of problems with the heroin being laced with like fentanyl or I don't know what. A lot of people died because they were going back and doing the amounts that they thought they could do, and they couldn't do it because it was just laced with who knows what. So I'm at Johnny Rockets working and trying to get in touch with her before work, because I think this was like now the day that we're going to move or the day before. And I called her phone and some man answers. And I'm like, and it's a cell phone. I'm like, is Terry there? He's like, no Terry here. Hangs up. And I'm like, I knew something. I knew it. It's just like, and so then I kept calling and nothing. And it was inside of me But like I kept talking about it to my friends, and I'm like, if I talk about it, if I just talk enough about it, it can't be true that, something's wrong. And I remember, praying, and I didn't know, I was praying to the ethers. I was praying to my grandmother. My grandmother had passed, and I remember like just thinking, oh, if I just talk about it or think about it as if it happened, it won't surely have happened. And I remember when I was saying these things, like this truck drove by and it said RC, and that was like the cola that my grandmother would drink. And so I I was like, see, it's a sign. Nothing's wrong. Everything's fine. It's a sign from my grandma. Um, so then I call Al and I'm like, Al, I can't, like, this has gone on. You need to try and figure out what's going on. I'm worried. I don't know why somebody else is answering the phone. And then, like, all of a sudden, I'm still working at Johnny Rockets. I'm like running food. And I get a call from my aunts, my mom's sisters. And I'm like, oh. And all I hear is crying. The person who called me was my cousin's lesbian lover that I do not remember her name, because Carla tried to talk to me and she couldn't. That's my mom's sister. They're just crying in the background, and I knew, of course I knew something. I couldn't get in touch with Al because he was on his way. He was flying to New Jersey. So my cousin's lesbian lover gets on the phone, and she's the one that tells me my mother is dead. I'm in the back of Johnny Rockets where they're washing all the dishes. And I just remember falling to the floor. And I was on the floor. My girlfriend Elizabeth was there. And I just took all the money that I had and I gave it to her. I'm like, I gotta go. I didn't know where I was going. So I called Eric. And I knew Eric had gone through this with his father. And I called him and I said, my mother is dead. He came and picked me up. And I didn't know who to talk to, what to talk to, what to do. And you just go into this chamber. And you're isolated. My father came. And Al was more broken than I'd ever seen him. And we had to plan a funeral. So, I didn't know what to do. We're in New Jersey. Body's in New Jersey. Eric lost his dad. We'll just use his funeral parlor, so that's what we did. I didn't want an open casket. Bob came. And Al and Bob saw her because they wanted an open casket. I couldn't do it. So they sat there, talked to her privately, one at a time. They didn't go in together. But I know that affected Bob a lot too, because he died. Before he died, he told me how much it affected him, and I gave him some of her ashes, and the funeral was long because it was like I didn't know what to do. I spoke, Al spoke, people played music, my friends came. Joanne had her dad lost her dad out shortly, I think, after I lost my mom. I just, I was no good for anybody, really. I was, I think I was broken for 15 years. It took me 15 years to even discuss her, to talk about her, to even just start to heal. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And that's why I didn't want to do this stinking video. I talked to my girlfriend, Krista, who lost her mom recently, not even a year. And, you know, it does get easier and you say it, but then you go back and you, as a woman losing a mother, time doesn't really heal it. You just adjust and you see things differently. When she passed, my God died, so there was a lot of adjusting. I shifted all my priorities. I got rid of Eric. I got rid of her car. I just left it in a parking lot. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just getting tickets. I'm going to, just leave it on the side of the road. And I did. But before I did, I remember got insurance money from her passing. I used that money and I bought a condo in Weehawken. And I remember we had the check. I got the check and it was like a $50,000 check from like the insurance. And I was so like, far like not focused on anything that I left the check in the car overnight. Didn't think anything of it. It was in the back seat. That night, my car was broken into. And they stole books, CDs, whatever. They didn't steal the check. And I know that was God. Like, I left it broken in that night. And they didn't steal the check. Like, that's insane. They stole a Home Depot book. But they didn't steal the check. It was bizarre. And so I started to pick up my life. And I got that condo and I cleaned house, got rid of boyfriends, met Josh, and started like a real life with a real family. And I know that there was some spiritual timeline to this, that when she called me and I was on that beach, I was so happy. And it's like she knew I was going to be okay. She knew that whatever she provided, whatever she gave me, however she loved me, was enough. It was enough to get me through the hell that was my life to the other side, where she never was able to get in her life. And I'm sad that she never met, Josh. I'm sad that she never met Max. But I do try to now include her into like the stories and how much she would have loved them. And, I pray to God now, not to her. But I know she was at that wedding. She was at my wedding. I told her, Mom, you're not at my wedding. I know that your gift will be a beautiful day. And when I tell you the sun set, because we were in New Jersey, so there was sunsets on the other side, but it reflected over the water and it was beautiful pinks and purples. And I was like, that was my mom. That was from my mom. That was her gift, my wedding gift. And so I know that she's, pieced out with God now. Because everybody knows she wasn't pieced out here on earth. She didn't find her peace. And so I'm proud to say, in spite of that, through all that, I have found joy and peace and love and family. And I found, the real God. I guess that's it. That's it. So now I'm at 52. My goal was to get 52 videos done. This ends it. This is it. I did one a week. Well, I didn't really. I skipped some weeks, but I did 52 videos. So I've succeeded on my goal. Now I'll probably come back and talk about other things. But I don't know why I did these videos. Maybe it was just for today. I don't know. I'm glad I did them. Thanks for listening.